Hello, this is Cindy from Cinders. This is going to be a relatively quick one because I've had to turn off my air conditioning to do this, otherwise you won't hear me. So this is not going to be a long one, although I will try and get as much information in as I can. So since you last saw this, it was just the front, the spine and the back that had been decorated. Now I went through and just put coloured card on the back. I showed you those that they were. You don't need to do that because I am then going to cover them with paper. Didn't really think that through until I'd already done it, cut the paper. So, but you don't have to. But if you're not using thick cardstock, make sure you do use a bit, just to give it a bit more strength. So what I have done is, in all of my pockets I have decorated, well, not decorated, I have literally taken a white piece of paper and I've done some stenciling on with some pink distress oxide, and I have put the cloud, well, I know it's not called the cloud punch. Now that is a snug fit, but we don't want it falling out. Now this cloud punch is called Pretty Label, and that is a Stampin' Up punch. And then what I have done is I have cut out the numbers and I have used 2 or 3 numbers on top of it just to give it a little more depth and make it stand out a bit more. You can also see that I have used different colours of card. Now I've tended to stick to the opposing ones being the same colour so that it does have some continuity. Now when you see these bits, don't worry, I am going to cover them in with paper. I had a bit of an issue with that one, but again, the paper that I used to decorate the front will go over it. I also had an issue with the first page here, which I'm very happy to say will be covered up any minute now. So that has been the progress, but like I say, this is repetitive. You do not need to see me making cutting out those bits of card and sticking two stamps, one to each side. You really don't need to watch that. So if you do it, just make sure you bring your number up a bit because it can catch. I'm going to have to really stick those down, but again, hindsight's a wonderful thing. So we are going to start on the first page. So let me show you what I've done so far, because I don't know how far I'm going to get. But once you have the basic idea, you can then run with it yourself or come back to see me. I'm going to do these in reasonable chunks because, not reasonable, yeah, a shorter amount of time than do a 50-minute of me going through everything and blasting you with a load of information that you don't need straight away. So I have made up some pages, and here is the thinking behind it. So there's my page 1 and page 2, and then we're going to go through those. I have got up to page 6, but I'm waiting. It was going to be like half of one, but I'm waiting for the clear accents, the Nuvo crystal glaze. I'm waiting for that to dry, but again, that will be an album, so that will be coming along, but not this time. It needs to dry so it doesn't crack. So let me show you what I have come up with. So let's move everything we don't need out of the view so it's not too cluttered. although I will have to move the other one back in a moment. So what I have done is I have made this like a three-fold card, and then it will all go together, and I'm just going to put some magnets on the corners of these and on the actual album hidden by my front page, and then that can just stay there and you think, oh, that's pretty, but you will also be able to take it off and put photos on, well, 5 sides, or you can journal. A lot of people will see that and just think it's decoration. I love this die. These dies are stunning. So that's the very first page, and then this one, I always debate on how much of a clash I have on page 1 as to 2. So if I've got a pocket on one, I tend to have flaps on the other. That's my reasoning, but it is completely up to you how you do your albums. I can show you what I do, and then you can literally take it and run with it your way. Right, so with these ones, I have literally, they started off at, that is 8 long, so then I have taken probably about an inch. So that one I think is slightly smaller. Oh no, they're the same, but you do it to how long you want it. I can tell you what I do, but if you want to do it shorter and fatter, absolutely do that. That is 3 3/4 by, well, 7. Oh yeah, I've folded the 1 inch over. Great. So that will be 20.5 and 9.5. So there's going to be 2 of those, and what I am going to do is I'm going to put one at the top, and shocker, I'm also going to put one at the bottom. Now the bottom one I want to go under, and I did think about staggering them, and then I thought, which way do I go? Do I stagger them, or do I one on top of the other? And still now I'm undecided, and unfortunately we can't take a vote because I can't hear you. So I'm going to I chose to do the other colour just to make it stand out. If I do it on that colour, even though there is a small border, I've made sure there's a small border, it will just fade into it, and I don't really want something that disappears. So my idea is either that way, or I go underneath and it's hidden. But now I've seen it that way, I quite like that. If it had been a different patterned card, if it had been like a really pretty patterned card, then I wouldn't even hesitate to say which one. But I think we'll glue this on. Less talking. Right, so if I were doing this without the camera on and under some time restraints, I would normally use my tape. However, so I love this glue here. I love it when it comes out. It's so hot in this. It's so hot in this room that the glue's drying before it actually gets out. Oh, and I know we shouldn't moan about the summer, but it is so hot, and believe me, I've had my air conditioning going all morning since 6:30 when I come down, and I would hate to think what it is in here. well, I've literally just turned off the air conditioner to do this, and I have broken out into a sweat already. Right, so nice small little border. So that is going to be the one that is going to just be a flap, whereas we need one that will hide the magnet. There is method to it. So I'm going to hide the magnet under this one, and I think one magnet will be quite sufficient. So I'm going to pop one of my magnets under there. I'll tell you also what I worry about as well as last time I was doing this. My iPad just turned itself off when where it had just overheated, and that's a pretty hot state of affairs. So I'm just going to glue that up now. You only need one of those magnets. I will pop down where I get them. I get them on Amazon, and I buy them under Too Goo, which is a pack of 50, and I think they're about £1.75. But you can also get them off AliExpress, which I need to get the link for, well, for both of them, so you can just click on, because I know that the ones I get aren't available to most of the like to America and Canada, or anywhere other than UK, to be honest. Right, so that one's going to be my bottom one, and then that one is, do you know, I quite like it staggered. Yeah, let's go for it. Right, so I'm going to put tape on those. Shall I? Or shall I just glue it? You see, this paper here is 250 gram cardstock, so I really could have used this on its own, but I do like seeing the pink card underneath. So then, where is that magnet gone? So that is going to be the top, and then we will put, once I'm happy with the spacing, let's get that put on first. Right, so do I glue it? Well, in this weather, yeah, it was gonna dry pretty quick. So, I don't usually love using glue on these albums because it can make it all soggy. But this one is Cosmic Shimmer. It does dry clear, as a lot of them do, but it also dries matte. So if it comes out, it doesn't make the pages shiny. Right, so, and now I'm going to pop some on there. Doesn't need to be a huge amount, but it does need to, we don't want that coming off. Let's make sure that's where I want it. Yeah, cool. So now I will get my my magnets and drop it on there, and it usually finds its partner there. So that then is holding that flap secure. So all as we do, you can use a glue dot if you want. I just think actual glue, it holds it a lot better. So just make sure it's where you want it and give it a couple of minutes, and by the time you go to stick that down, we will be ready to adhere that to the actual album. So now I need them on there as well, don't I? Now this has got some weight to it, so I'm probably going to use more than one, probably 4 to be honest, and that's only because this is really weighty. It's, well, if you think you've got 3 layers there on the actual die, and then you've got some that are doubled up together, so there's enough layers there. So let's just put some glue into, no, we really need it not to stick to that one. That's the one inside. Didn't think about that one. So we need it to really not stick to that. So I'm going to leave that for 1 second to dry. That one's dried already. So I'm going to move that to one side, because although I know it's dry, I don't really want to be risking it. And then we are going to turn that over. So I want it sort of right there, as cute as a button and little girl. So it's really much smack in the middle. So I shall hold that to the card, and then that's it. And then I shall put the others on there. Once I'm happy with their position, I will glue them on. Now, you can use any dies to do this. You certainly don't need to go out and buy dies, as I'll show you. That one's not actually on the right place. You certainly don't need to go out and buy anything. These layer ones are gorgeous, but they can be really pricey if you don't use them. And I know that they have they've got them now on one of the cheaper sites, but that is down to each person and how they feel. Right, so I don't encourage buying it at all. I really don't, however. Right, so that is my first one, and that now can go in. I'd like to see that. I'm just going to let those set a bit more, because what I don't want is to come on and just have it go. Right, so my next one. Now this is where I say you can use anything. It doesn't need to be a big expensive album. You could have just white card and any dies that you have. This is just to show you how easy it is to get a really fun pattern. So I have two large, well, I think they're octagons rather than hexagons. Now I got these years ago, but I'm sure I could probably find a link somewhere for you, or you'll be able to find a link. They are not hard to find. Any of the hearts, the stars, the squares, the rectangles, anyone that has layering in is fine. You do not need to go out and buy this. Right, so I thought about doing the where you do, I can't think of what it's called, where you only put the plate till there and then it's all in one. And I can't think of what that's called. That's really going to annoy me. However, I'm not going to let it bother me, because it will come to me. Partial die cutting. And I thought, no, let's just do this the easy way, because anyone can do this. And if you don't have a huge amount of experience with partial die cutting, it can be a bit confusing. So what I've done is I've taken my largest ones, and then I've taken two of the smaller ones. Now the reason I've taken two small ones is because I am going to join that there, and I am going to then put that over. Not only will that make that look nice, but it will also secure it. So I have 2 of those to go on, actually, but I really don't want this to come undone, so I will decorate both of the sides. So they're the ones that are the covers, plus that is the one size down to cover the front as well. Okay, so we're going to do that. You can use any dies, don't actually need, you can just cut out squares. You don't need to have all of these fancy dies. Over the years though, I've built up my range of dies, and I have always had an extreme fondness for stitch dies. I have a whole literally a whole, what do you call them, die storage pouch. Ooh, wrong way. Storage pouches that have got them, and I have them all together. Now you're probably thinking that is going to show up. It won't, it dries matte, thank goodness. So right, so now we are going to cover for strength. You could even use circles for this. You don't need to go out and purchase anything. But if you think you'll use this, because I use this to do my father's, not my Father's Day, but a mail gift card. Let me see if I can get it. Gift card, gift box. I used it to do that, which is actually on the wrong way around. So can you see that? I used it to do that. So they do get a lot of use, and they're certainly not just for effect. Now, where did I put that thing? Right, and we will now attach that one. So what you have to bear in mind is this just shows you can use pretty much anything, or you could simply have done what I've often done, which is to use straight panels. Now this is like a canvas, so I'm going to put a bit more on there just so that sticks properly. Now that is going to cover up the other one, and you're probably thinking it's a waste, but I really do not want this bit to come undone. I really don't. Right, so now trusty magnet is going to go. I always tend to do it near the edge-ish. Right, so I'm not going to wait for that one to dry because I've already got my card to go over, and like I say, this is a lovely thick canvas, so I don't need to cover it in anything else. It should hide that magnet and hold it. Right, so that's one down. I'm going to put magnets on both because I'm really not sure on how I'm going to lay these out. I tend to think about these things as I go. I sort of have a vision in my head, and that's kind of what I work to. But like I say, I can provide links for all these items, and some of them are really reasonably priced.